Are you feeling trapped in midlife? On episode 711 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we meet Heike Yates and discuss her book, Pursue Your Spark, your guide to escaping midlife traps, reclaiming confidence, and living fully. Welcome to the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, the largest and longest running health and fitness podcast dedicated to people over 40. Whether you're looking to lose weight, get stronger, or improve your health and age better, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Coach Allan, an online health and fitness coach and author of the Wellness Roadmap. Each week, we dive into practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your health and fitness. If you're ready to look, feel, and perform your best, no matter your age, this podcast is the perfect place to start. Let's get you on the path to a healthier, fitter, and more energetic version of yourself. I hope you'll join us each week, and together we can unlock your full potential. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast. I'm really glad you're here. This is a pretty good episode. If you're in midlife and you're kind of like maybe feeling a little bit lost, and you're looking for that spark, this is going to be a good one for you. I want to share a little bit of information, a little bit of news. On the home front, Tammy and I have made a pretty big decision. I figured it was coming when Cruz, our grandson, was born. Tammy wants to retire. We both want some more freedom to come and go, which doesn't work very well when you're running a bed and breakfast. So we've decided we're going to sell Lula's. So if you've considered moving to a Caribbean island, especially one that doesn't get hurricanes, and get into an established, successful, cash flowing business, this might be the opportunity you've been waiting for. You can email me, coach@40plusfitness.com, and I can get you some more details on that. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put Lula's up and go ahead and get a little bit more, for lack of a better word, location freedom. Doesn't mean we're coming back to the States. We might just stay in Panama, but I'm probably going to stay in Panama, I hope. But whatever happens there happens. But, the reality of it is running a brick and mortar business on the ground really doesn't suit either of us at this juncture in our lives. So we both want a little bit more freedom to move about and go and come. And so we're going to head and do that. But that's on the selling block. We've talked to a few people, but nobody's made any offers. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and just email me and I can get you some more details. Do you enjoy movies? The type of movies where a hero steps up and faces the challenge and changes everything. There's an epic fight scene or a death-defying risk taken. We are in the moment, but maybe later we think about how much went into making that scene happen. The pyrotechnics, the stunts. But here's the thing. When it comes to your health and fitness, you don't get a stunt double. You don't get a script. There aren't many shots for you to be the hero of your own story. But right now, I have a chance for you to do exactly that. I'm opening up spots in my 12-week one-on-one online coaching program. This is your opportunity to work directly with me to finally build the strength, energy, and health you've been wanting. And this is the only launch I'm going to do for the remainder of 2025. To make this even better, I'm adding some huge bonuses. First, I'm adding 2 additional weeks. So this will be a 14-week program if you sign on now. Also, I'm adding what I call freeze weeks. There's 2 of them. And what a freeze week means is when life happens, we just go ahead and pause you. So you've got a vacation planned, you get sick, take that week off, get yourself healthy, figure it out, enjoy your vacation if that's what it is. We pause it and then you don't lose it. We just add that to the end. So 2 freeze weeks, 2 extra weeks, and here's the big one. And this is why I've got to limit the number of people that come in. A 45-minute live strength workout with me on Zoom. This is where I'll get online on Zoom with you live while you're training, and I'll watch you train and give you the coaching cues as if I were right there coaching you directly. And this way, you know, for each of the exercises that you're doing them safely and you're doing them effectively. So it's a live session with you on Zoom while you're doing your workout, so I can help you get the most out of the program uh, if you sign up now. Now there are limited spots, so and once this launch window closes, which is soon, this opportunity is gone. I'm not going to extend it. I'm not going to. So no, no. If you don't sign up now, you don't get these bonuses. If you don't sign up now, you can't actually sign up again for the entire year, at least not for this program. So if you're ready to stop watching from the sidelines and step into your role as the hero of your own story, go to 40plusfitness.com/launch and book your discovery call today. This is a direct link to my calendar, and it will only be up for a short time. That's 40plusfitness.com/launch. Our guest today, with over 40 years of experience, strengthens and energizes her clients while helping women feel confident in their skin. A former bodybuilder, her well rounded background includes running ultramarathons while creating the wildly popular Pilates with Resistance A Ball program. A combination of warm motivation and deep compassion empowers women to break free from mental traps that keep them stuck. In her book and coaching practice, she guides women to reclaim themselves and create the life they've always dreamed of. With no further ado, here is Heike Yates. Heike, welcome to 40 Plus Fitness.
Hi, Allan. Super excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, I was on your podcast a while back. I was actually looking at it. It was December of 24. That was episode 226 of Pursue Your Spark podcast. Um, it's been a minute, but what's interesting, that's also now the name of your book, Pursue Your Spark, your guide to escaping midlife traps, reclaiming confidence, and living fully. Excellent, excellent book, and I really, really enjoyed the book because I actually learned a lot more about you and what you're doing, and so that was a lot of fun. We're gonna have a great conversation.
I know, right? It's like all these stories that people maybe never wanted to know are in there. But they're supporting the midlife journey, what I thought. So there you have it, listeners. You got all about me.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, okay, so I'm looking at, like you ran the Marine Corps Marathon at 3:50 to qualify for the Boston Marathon. That is not the marathon I would have chosen to run a qualifying run for Boston. That was not one of the easier ones I did when I did them years back. And I didn't do 350. So you're doing something right to hit a 350 on the Marine Corps Marathon. So congratulations to that, and congratulations for qualifying for the Boston.
Super excited too, because when I actually had my big book launch on the big launch was August 4th, but the launch party was yesterday. So I'm still Sunday. I'm still a little bit exhausted, and the part of the reading was the 2008 cherry blossom race that I did that led to the Marine Corps Marathon. And some of the people that came to the launch party were my buddies, running buddies, triathlete buddies, and they all were smiling and nodding along. And it's like, yeah, I remember you and Patricia were training. And you said, we're running the whole race together. We're going to both qualify for Boston. And we're going to do this. And at mile 22, Patricia was like, man, Heike, my legs are so heavy. I have no energy. And I kept urging her to take in her nutrition. I said, come on, we practiced this all those weeks. And she says, I don't know. My stomach is shot and I have cramps. And then she looks at me and she's like about 2/3 of my size. She's a very petite French girl. And she says, go get Boston, Heike. And I was like, should I leave her behind? But then what do I want more? Do I want Boston more or hang out with her? So I was like, I'm going to go for Boston.
Sorry, buddy. Goodbye. I'm sure she understands. I'm sure she understands. And now, if you'd left her and not qualified, that would have been heartbreaking. But You did.
Because you know how hard the training is, how many weeks you spend, and
Well,
this was my
and
very
and
first
I know how
marathon.
hard that marathon is. It was one of my slowest. I ran that slower than I ran Big Sur. So
Oh
it's
wow,
yeah. So that's
that's
not an easy marathon
it's quite
by any
hilly.
stretch. So you did something pretty special there.
Determination, I would say.
Yeah. So your book is about midlife and predominantly women, but I'm gonna preface this with most of what women go through, men experience often at a different level or in a slightly different way. We approach midlife with a lot of feelings and emotions and things, just as women do. We're going through changes in our lives often, just as women are. Uh, we tend to bury ourselves in our career. We're making good money during this period of time, usually. So most of us are just focused on that and getting our kids through college, and then retirement and all the stuff that we're supposed to enjoy later. That we hope we live long enough to enjoy.
Joy.
But what is going on in midlife for women?
I have to agree with you, Alan. Men and women go through that phase slightly different, but I was surprised that when I had the pre order for my book, several men bought my book. And I know that they don't have a partner. They are single men or divorced men or whatever they are. And then at the book launch, one of the partners of my acupuncturist, he said, "I am so excited to read your book, and I'm particularly struck by the gap chapter. And I'm an engineer, and right now we're going through this work process where we take something that we've been working on and trying to progress this into something new, and we're facing a gap. And from a technical point of view, we can manage that gap, but we have a lot of emotions attached to what's going on with the old project." And I was stunned. And I said, "Oh wow, I never thought of it that way." So I'm very curious to hear what he has to say after he reads that. But what I find in midlife is we are oftentimes in a sandwich situation where we have children that may still go to college, we're still probably working or making a career, and we have aging parents. So we're pulled in so many different directions that we sometimes don't even know where to go first. And what goes first is our health. It's our well-being. It's taking care of ourselves. And I'm not talking about taking care in the sense of a spa day, which is also great. But it's really the day-to-day activities that what we can do for ourselves, but we don't take the time to do. And when you asked this question this morning, I was working with a client who actually is in that sandwich situation where she just had her father-in-law pass away, and she said, I have not exercised for 2 weeks. My neck is hard as a rock because I'm so stressed because I organized the funeral, I organized the afterwards, I organized all the whatever is attached to that. Now we're taking care of my mother-in-law, who's now, after 74 years being married, alone. So there's a lot going on. And she says, "I have not exercised." So we're putting ourselves last, which is never a good idea. But the question is, how can we justify and not feel guilty putting ourselves first in all those different situations? And so when I thought about the book, and I, I was not sure what I was going to write about. I thought, well, I've been a fitness and health coach for 40 years. That's what I'm going to write about. And honestly, it's been said, we talk about it all the time. But it comes down to, will somebody take action to our advice? And you know that from your practice, we have these great strategies and they nod their head and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
And it's that emotional place that we are at, that we feel worthy, that we don't feel guilty, that we put ourselves first without worrying about the repercussions from other people around us, from family members. Like my client experienced, her sister was just like, "Did you get all this done?" And she says, "Yeah, 2 weeks ago." And that's the premises of the book. It's the emotional state, the what do we need to do in order to put ourselves first.
Yeah, and so much of that is is just about your mental health. I mean, it's how you view yourself and the mindset that you take into this. I have that mindset quiz, and one of the primary mindsets that people often deal with is what you're talking about here. I call it the co-pilot. It's the person that's doing everything for everybody else and not driving themselves, not taking care of themselves. But what I also know about co-pilots, because I've worked with quite a few of them, because I work with middle-aged women. Some men are too. I was myself. It was just my career that was my everything else, and not family and kids and all that kind of thing. But the core of it is usually you have a team already built. You're doing all this stuff for them. And if you just take a moment to realize, well, okay, if I let them know why I need this, most reasonable people will understand. It's like, okay, I get it. So, hey, can I have 45 minutes in the evening? You take care of the kids, get their bath, get them tucked into bed. I'm going to go get my workout done, and then I'll meet you up there, and we'll tuck them in, and we'll read them our bedtime story or something. Then we'll have time for us. Instead they're like, well, I got to do the kids. We get the kids, then I got to go. Got to spend time with the spouse, and then I'm just dead, tired, go to sleep. And it's so hard to get up in the morning because a lot of folks just aren't morning people. They're like, I want to sleep until I got to get in the car, you know, and so it's just that concept. And you kind of go through it, but you broke it down a little bit different, and you called them the 5 major gaps. Can you talk about those? These are not all related to what I'm talking about with the co-pilot, what we were talking about there, but these gaps are kind of the things that I think most of us will face, but women particularly will face as they approach midlife and they start to struggle with identity and with their health and fitness and just putting time into themselves. These gaps can really slow people, even stop them, I guess, for the most part, keep them from optimizing their health and fitness.
Somebody said to me the other day, what is a gap? I don't know even what you're talking about. And I said, well, a gap is something from where you are and where you want to be. And if this gap, this space widens because you don't get your needs met, this gap will widen. And that's very simple. If just saying you want to eat healthy, and you say, okay, I want to eat healthy, whatever that means, saying, okay, I'm eating a vegetable with every meal. And you just can't get to the grocery store, and you don't think about ordering from Amazon, and you don't think about your husband maybe stopping by the grocery store. You don't get to the goal of eating a vegetable with every meal because you have not prepared for it. You're not ready to close the gap. And if you take steps, active steps towards that goal, the gap will close. But for so many women, and I just use nutrition as a simple example, is really the gap gets wider because we lack confidence, which brings us to the gap number one, the lack of confidence to speak up for ourselves, to say what we need, to ask for what we want, because we are afraid people will look at us sideways and say, oh, look at her. What is she talking about? She's all full of that. And she should is another word that I do not like. She should be doing this and she should be thankful for what's going on in her life. But it's not the key. The confidence to really step into ourselves, into what it is to actually see the gap. And in the book, I say, if you don't know what it is, what you don't see, you can't fix. And it may be just always that way that you just don't get your vegetables. It may always be that way that you don't get the 45 minutes. So it becomes this almost a habit that this is just how it is and that we are asked to settle for less than what we're worth. And so the confidence is a really big part in the book two, where I know that we struggle with to speak up, to stand up for what we want, and to ask for what we need. So confidence is that big gap. And then the other one is expectations. I would say, let's think about expectations in a sense of not reaching our health goals. I want to get in shape, whatever that means. It could be I want bigger biceps and I really want to have stronger muscles. But it's not happening. Why is this not happening? And the expectation is that because I saw these women on Instagram or other social media and they all look big and buff, and you're like, oh, she's my age. I want to look exactly like that. But you don't get there and you can't even figure out why it is that you're not, which brings us to the knowledge gap. So you're lagging the confidence, you're lagging or you have a skewed expectation, and now you lack the knowledge of why all this is happening. And then getting to the knowledge is also where I feel we know so much, but we don't do anything with it. Or we're so confused. And I know this, and you know this, Allan. They say, well, I've tried this before. My friend Susie did this. Look what happened to her. And nothing happened to me. I did exactly what Susie did. But look at me. I did not get those big buff muscles. To make him understand that everybody is different, that everybody has different needs, especially midlife. We're not a cookie cutter. So the lack of confidence, the lack or the skewed expectations, the lack of knowledge, and also the support that we need from others around us. We can't do it alone as much as we wish. We need a coach to help us figure out what's not working. We need a significant others who supports our health journey and our mental journey of what it is. Like, I wanted to write a book. I didn't know what the book was going to be about. My husband was a little, I don't know. He said, Heike, do not write a pamphlet. I was like, what is that? He says, under 100 pages is not a book for me. And he's a published author himself. And I said, no. And he says, you have to promise me you don't just write it, it will be published. And he supported me more than he knows through that whole process. So the support from a spouse, a community, even from a coach that you've never met in a virtual training session, that's the only person you know. It's so critical to manage those gaps. And of course, we can't manage them all at once.
Yeah. And then there's visibility, and that's just, knowing what the problem is. Because a lot of times we don't. We just, okay, I'm weak, and I do my walking, I do my Pilates, I do the yoga video twice a week, and I still feel weak. Mm-hmm. Just not understanding that, okay, it might take a little more than that.
This is why I say, if you don't see it, you can't fix it. It's like whatever the visibility is the same. I look at stuff and then nothing happens because I'm not looking at it the right way.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that'll go to the gym and they'll do the same thing every single day. They go, they're going 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, but they're doing the same exercises with the same weights. And a year later, they're still doing the same exercises with the same weights, but they haven't really changed. And so it's just that, again, it's all these little gaps that are out there that are keeping them from being successful. And a lot of times I think it just really comes down to, and we'll cover this when we get into your Spark framework, is that it's taking a step back and understanding the problem before you try to solve it. I think that's why that engineer was kind of fascinated with the concept of a gap. Is a lot of times we are too close to the problem to actually even know we have the problem and what the problem is. We have to take that step back. Yeah. And your Spark framework is a pretty good way to get us started on all that.
And it's true, because I always say take baby steps. And baby steps don't look like anything massive or uber productive or taken on all at once, because we can't. We get overwhelmed. And I just started working with a virtual client, actually a male person, who said, I never had a trainer, and he has all kinds of injuries, so he can't see me in person. But so we do a virtual training session. And he told me he has never had a trainer. and he's doing the exercises, and I'm trying to explain to him what he does. And I said, well, what are your goals? Well, I want to play tennis, and I want to play golf, and then I want to eat healthy. I want to lose 40 pounds, and I want to have less back pain. I was like, whoa, okay. We're not going to start with all of that. So he was at first like, well, here's my audacious goals. I'm like, this is great. But let's start with what you know. You don't know anything about weight training. You don't know anything about stretching or better posture. And the next step is, nutrition. But he has yet to ask me about any nutrition guidance based on what we're doing, because I always pull him back. I'm like, you're lifting your weights too fast. You're not breathing. You're not maintaining your core position. And it's all new to him. But he was this like, I want all at once. And I was like, no, we got to assess first what's going on, and then we can build on that with what I say baby steps. And oftentimes, Allan, I feel the steps need to be so small that the people, our clients, just don't even know they do something so different, but it sneaks in as a habit over time.
Yeah. One of the ways I'll do it with goals is I'll have a client set a goal, and then after they've set the goal, I'll say, okay, what's your confidence on a scale of 1 to 10? How confident are you that you can absolutely do this? And if they come back and they say anything other than a 10, that goal is too big. We need to either come up with a smaller version of that goal, or we need to reduce the effort needed for that goal to do it. So if like I'm going to eat vegetables every day, as an example you gave, well maybe every day might be just a little big right now,
Big.
and so you could just sit there and say, okay, well right now I'm not eating any vegetables. So if I ate a vegetable 2 days a week, how likely are you to be able to do that? And for most people they're like, well, okay, if I got to Friday and I hadn't done it, Saturday and Sunday I'm eating vegetables because that's what I promised myself I was going to do, but I got 2 days to get it done. So the confidence level of being able to do that goal becomes that much easier. But then they're like, well, it's only 2 days a week, and I'm like, well, yeah, but then after you're doing 2 days a week, what's your confidence that you can add 1 day and make it 3 days?
Yep.
And it might take you several weeks to get to a point where you're eating vegetables every day, but it's better to have done that than to try 7, fail at 7, and quit.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And it's that confidence. And you call this, what do you call your goals? Big, hairy goals?
Big audacious goals or big
Goals.
scary goals. Yeah. Well, but and again, that's a little bit of the mindset thing. Is for me at that point in my life, I was very much an Atlas person, and in my mindset set, that is someone who needs a direction. They need somewhere they're going, so that every day they wake up and it's like, I don't have a choice. That big thing is there. Like I'd already bought the tickets, I'd already signed up for the race, I'd already invited my daughter. I mean, like I was pot committed to this, and so there was no backing out. So there was no, you can skip a couple days and that's fine. It was no, if I'm not training consistently, I'm not going to be where I need to be the day that race comes up, because that date is certain. It's not moving. So I have to. I have to,
Yep.
you know.
Yep, and I like goals too. And like you said, sometimes we choose goals that are too big because they're based on somebody else's life or what we see other
Yeah.
people do. And that's why I think the help of a professional coach is really important to sort through all of that and help through what should we start with, what direction is best to go for that particular person. And instead of just following a generic plan that somebody gives you or that you downloaded from the internet.
Yeah. Well, again, and I did have that big goal, but to your point, I had taken that big goal and I had broken it into smaller goals.
Yep.
And so I didn't go at it. I mean, I had from the time I signed up to the time of the race, I had about 8 months to
Nice.
train for it. Okay, which is a good amount of time for training. Now, I still needed to lose a significant amount of weight, so that became a big part of what I was doing. Was okay, what are the things I know I need to do to lose this weight? And it was all nutrition. That had nothing to do with running that race, but it had everything to do with me finishing it. And so it was like, okay, if I can lose the weight, I'm going to make this much easier on myself.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Oh my
resistance
God.
training is not going to help me build my stamina, but right now, that's what I need to optimize the weight loss. I am going to need that strength.
Hmm.
So I'll start building the strength now, and I'll focus on my nutrition. And then as I got closer to the race and the weight was coming off, I was able to increase, because my energy level was higher, I was able to increase my activity level and my stamina work so that it all kind of came together as a cohesive plan that had me ready for that
Yeah.
particular event.
Yeah. And that's the smart way to do it, in my opinion. I was like, not saying, oh, next week is a marathon, let's go run it.
Well, not to brag, but I had a pretty good trainer.
Well, that's pretty good that you had that. I'm like, that's helpful.
Yeah, well, it was me. Uh,
I know that's, I'm teasing you too. I was like,
yeah,
as I know your story, you were on my show, so I know your
yeah.
story. And I'm like an elephant. I remember things.
Well, good. Let's talk about the Spark framework.
Okay, and your story is actually a really good example of that, because the S stands for self-assessment. Whether it's with a coach or by yourself or with the tools that I have in the book that you can download and fill out and really take a hard look at the goal that you want. Why do you want the goal? And maybe even think about how would I achieve that. But I think primarily it's the why in the assessment for me. It's why do I want this particular goal? Why don't I want to eat vegetables every day instead of I drink a smoothie or I don't really care about vegetables? What is it that you want to change with that self assessment in your life, in your body? And throughout the book, we have, like I said, the worksheets, but also it's the background of that is fitness and nutrition and then a strong mindset component. So it's not a fitness and nutrition book, but it's supported by it. So in the self assessment, you sometimes may say, okay, I want to, let's use weight loss as an example. I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Well, because my husband thinks that I'm too heavy. My girlfriend said, you can't have my clothes because don't fit in them. Are these really valid reasons? In my opinion, yes, but also what's the underlying? What's really driving this? Are you feeling tired all the time? Are you feeling having lack of energy? What is it that's really driving this desire to lose those 20 pounds in the self-assessment part of the framework? And it always depends on the answer we're getting. And then we always need to drill deeper because people are like, you ask me why 5 times. And I say, wow, I don't really have an answer. These are all surface level answers. And it's scary to reveal yourself. What is the reason? And in this example, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. What is the real reason? I don't feel good in my skin. I feel less worthy. People look at me and I feel judged. These are some of the reasons that may surface in the self-assessment part of the Spark framework. And so once you know what's there, what it is that you want, and where it's coming from within you, not because of your husband not finding you sexy anymore because you gained 20 pounds, which is silly to begin with. But what is it? Then we're traveling into the planning path with a P. So we know what we were trying to do. We have a goal. Let's stick with the 20 pounds. It's just easier. And it's like, I just want to have more energy. So how can we plan a path for you that will give you more energy? Let's look at that and say, okay, is it that I'm working too much? Is it that I'm spending most of my time with my in-laws or with my parents, taking care of them? Is it that I'm taking on my children's babysitting duties after my work? So where is something that we can work around, which also brings us into the roadblocks, but it's like based on the information, and I don't want to jump ahead, I tend to do that, is, okay, now we have an idea of what we want. What is the best strategy right now to get this started? And for the 20-pound person, I would say start walking. You want to lose 20 pounds? Can you fit in walking? Start with walking. Don't do anything else. Don't do more than one thing at a time. And then see what happens. And then you check in when you take with the action towards the goal is I started to walk. This goes great. Now, what's the next step in your action plan? What else could you potentially take on? Or actually, I also think about it that way. I took action to walk, but I may have decided to walk for an hour, which is way too long for that person. So we take action by redacting. We're bringing things back a little bit more. Then we said, okay, we got a good distance. Things are moving. We've assessed. We planned the path. We took action, and now we're back at the obstacles. My feet hurt. My back hurts. I'm not cut out for this. I'm going to quit. No. We're not quitting. We're reassessing, looking at the obstacles from our long walk. What is it, like I said earlier, as I jumped ahead of myself, is it obligations around you? Or is it something to do with, I always walk at noon when it's hot as can be, and it's just impossible for me to be out there. So let's look at the strategies to make the best guess towards where we are right now. So we may have said, okay, we're dropping the babysitting duty. We are leaving work on time. We're not taking on extra work. We're now swinging by the grocery store and get some fresh vegetables. And we plan our walk after dinner instead of at lunchtime. Okay, we got all the roadblocks. We got the plan sort of figured out where we're going to go. And then we're taking action. So we're putting all of this knowledge we have and moving forward with that instead of back. So there's no excuse of, it didn't work out for me. It wasn't right for me. Can we always pivot the path? Absolutely. You know, if walking is not your jam, then maybe you want to go on the elliptical or you start swimming. It doesn't matter, but there are options. And so in the action part, it's really what I want people to, what I call kick ass, and move and stop worrying, stop holding yourself back, stop telling yourself that you're not good enough, you're not cut out for this, that you don't have time for this, that, oh no, it's going to cost me more money. None of this is relevant at that point.
Okay. And then the last one?
Keeping momentum, which is kick ass.
Okay. You didn't say the word momentum. I was waiting for that.
I'm sorry. It's like when I wrote my book, initially my editors were saying I should use keeping momentum. And I was like, but I wouldn't say that. And so it keeps sneaking back into my language, and they actually allowed me to put it back in.
I like that too. I like that too.
It's like put the foot on the gas and go. So.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. So, we face these obstacles, and in the book, you went into several fitness obstacles and nutrition obstacles that you've seen in your practice. Of the fitness and nutrition obstacles that most people are facing, which ones would you say are most prominent?
The biting off too much to start with. I think that's the most common I see. And then in the fitness as well is I don't know enough. I should know more. Because if I know more, I would be successful, this is not always the case. It's like one of my clients has come to me. She said, Heike, I've done all these fitness programs. I know all this. And she had all the technical words and all the technical jargons. And then she says, but I'm not reaching my goal. Can you teach me what it is that I need to do now to get over that hump of getting fitter and stronger? And she says, I'm going to the gym, but I'm also, I'm not going that often. So we're coming into the fitness obstacle of consistency. If you're not consistent, you will not see results, no matter what you try. And with the fitness obstacles, it's really she didn't go to the gym enough. She knew all of it. She's like, she could rattle it down. She gave me her programs. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? It's like, well, I didn't write those. And where did they come from? And even her son said, Mom, you just need to go and do it consistently. So in this case, it was not, I need to know more, because knowing more is not moving the needle, in my opinion. It may for some people, but too much knowledge is also just too much. And the consistency is that big piece that we need to address when it comes to the fitness obstacles and why we're not stuck. And I think also in the fitness obstacles, the perfectionism is a big one. I think you can see that too in your practice, Allan, that it has to be perfect. If I don't do 3 reps of 12 and 12 repetitions with 15 pounds progressively going up, it's not a good workout. I didn't do a good job. And this perfectionism holds us back so much. It's unbelievable. I'm like, do something. It doesn't have to be the perfect set and the perfect reps. Be safe, do something, but do it every day and do something different every day.
Yeah, I have a client that very much is wanting perfection, and he's injured, and so he's just not capable of doing what he wants to do, and it's driving him nuts. And so every time we talk, it's almost like he has a whole nother set of goals that he wants to do, like a whole new plan. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I think I'm going to do this, and I'm like, okay, well, that's the exact opposite of what we were talking about last time we were on a call. But okay, so tell me what you want out of that. What's that going to give you, and why is that important? And we'll have that conversation. But I kind of know that the next week we're going to get on, the next time we're going to get on another call, and he's going to be telling me he wants to do something else. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, he is consistent, but he's all over the place. He's not consistently doing the work that's going to move him in the same direction. He's moving a little bit in that direction, a little bit in this direction, and then somewhere in that direction. And so as a result, he's pretty much standing right where he was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can relate to that. Absolutely. Yeah. So and I think when we talk about the nutrition obstacles, we're tying into similar themes, but I find that in the nutrition obstacles that we oftentimes know too much. We are afraid of eating, so I'd rather eat nothing. And you may know that I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. I teach it in my courses, I teach it to my clients, but I don't teach it to everybody because it's not good for everybody and it's not the right approach for everybody. But what I want people to know is whether they're practicing intermittent fasting or not, or eating for health. It is really about planning the spark steps, the spark framework again, and seeing what you know, what you have, what you are willing to do. And when oftentimes when people want to change their nutrition, they talk about, I'm not eating that. This is disgusting. I kale. Everybody wants you to eat kale, and people are like, I hate kale. Well, then don't eat kale. You're not going to be suddenly unhealthier, but I don't want you to eat ice cream every day either. So we got to find a good middle ground where we're saying we have a balanced approach to our nutrition, and which is your story ties in perfectly with that as well. Don't hop around. One day you do keto, one day you do juicing, the next day you do clean eating, the next day you eat no carbs or whatever it is. Stick consistently with a plan, with a method. And that gets, I'm sorry, people, I know it's boring sometimes, but boring is good. Boring is good. The more boring it gets, the more consistent you will be because you don't have to think about it, which helps us establish a habit. And you may be super excited that you don't have to eat kale anymore, but then you're like, oh, I like carrots, or I like whatever else it is. I'm eating more grains now instead of bread, processed breads. But eat from all the food groups, but stick with something that is right for you, that we choose for you as coaches, or that you find in the book ideas of how to build a healthy meal. If you have, years ago, a client said to me, or I said to the client, okay, let's create a healthy meal for you. Are you eating healthy? And she looked at me and she says, I don't even know what that means. I said, what do you think healthy eating means? She said, well, I have my burger and chips usually for lunch, and then for breakfast, I eat just whatever I just find, usually a bar because that's what I have. And then for dinner, I just wait and see what happens. Maybe I do some takeout, but I usually pick not fried foods. I'm like, okay, great. This is a good start. But healthy eating meant nothing to her. What does it comprise of? And that's also what I think we assume people know so much. And they do, but they don't. Otherwise, we wouldn't look at so many people being overweight, out of shape, despite all their efforts. So something is not working in the whole equation of where we're going with the people and what the results are that we're getting. That's why I always think super happy to see you as such a successful coach for people in the 40s to say, okay, I've experienced this. This can be done.
Yeah. So, Heike, I define wellness as being the healthiest, fittest, and happiest you can be. What are three strategies or tactics to get and stay well?
Well, happy is definitely on the list, but I'm not counting this too. Because to me, it's the only thing is you have to be happy. Nothing else matters. If you're not happy, forget it. But that's just me, my opinion of me. Number one is look at what it is that you need, not what somebody else needs. And that may take some time and some digging and some writing in a log book or type stuff out or record it in your handheld phone. What is it that you really want from your midlife? And it doesn't always have to be weight loss or getting stronger. It could be totally different things like, I want more peace. I want more quiet. That's number one, and start small. And number two is, so do what is right for you. Starting small, that's all one thing. Number two, I would say is find yourself a community. I definitely would highly recommend that. Have somebodies that support your goal, not speak against it. And if you have people that speak against it, get rid of them or see them a lot less. And number three, I would say think about your health in the long run. Think about longevity. What will I do? I'm 64. My oldest client right now is 99. What will my life look like when I'm that much older? What will I be able? Will I be able to get out of the chair? Will I be able to still walk a mile? How can I create a life that, a life that supports my midlife? Because I would say midlife, in my opinion, goes to late 70s. And then we have more other situations happen in our health. But what would it look like? And then backtrack and say, okay, this is my starting point. Because this is what I want in the end. This is what my life, I want to hike, I want to travel. Is that something you want to do? Well, where are you now with this longevity goal for us in midlife?
Great. Heike, if someone wanted to learn more about you, learn more about your book, Pursue Your Spark, where would you like for me to send them?
You can find me anywhere and everywhere on social media with my first and last name, Heike Yates, HeikeYates.com for my website. And you can find my book on Amazon, basically on all major book publishing places. And that's where you can find me. Or Pursue Your Spark, because my brand is Pursue Your Spark. My course is called Pursue Your Spark. My podcast is called Pursue Your Spark, and now Pursue Your Spark, the book.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for being a part of 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you.
Just a quick reminder, if you want to turn things around with your health and fitness, go into 2026 looking and feeling your best, this is the time. Be your hero. Schedule a call with me today. 40plusfitness.com/launch. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Jacqueline Hooten and discuss her book, Strong, the definitive guide to active aging. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.